Hello everyone and welcome to Martin's Home and Garden's Houseplant of the Week. This week we're going to be talking about the purple waffle plant. The purple waffle plant is a really awesome option for new plant parents because it's super resilient and it doesn't really have that much in terms of requirements for care. It's pretty simple compared to other houseplants. It is a non-toxic option and it's on the list of clean air plants. So it's got like pretty much all the great things that you would want in a first houseplant or maybe just like first few houseplants. Or even if you're just adding to a collection and you don't have one of these. These plants, sometimes if you don't water them, you'll find them completely wilted. And don't be like totally shocked. They're very dramatic and they'll tell you when they want water. So if they are completely wilted and you water them, they'll bounce right back and you won't even notice anything happened. Now, if you leave it wilted for too long, then you will notice that anything happened and the leaves around it will start to be brown and it just won't look very good, or it just will not come back because plants have a permanent wilting point. So if it gets too far below the wilting point, then they're not going to come back. So as for the growth habit on these plants, they get about 6 to 8 inches tall. But then once they've reached that height, they'll start to trail outward, which makes them really desirable for hanging baskets and things like that. Their stems can get up to like 24 inches long, especially in a hanging basket. So that makes them a really good option for that as well. So you can start them off in a cute little pot like this and then transfer them to a hanging basket eventually. Another thing that's cool is that if they were going downward, the flowers would be a little bit more visible because they kind of grow under the leaves. But if they were in a hanging basket, you'd probably be able to see them a little bit better. They do have these flowers. They bloom occasionally, not too often, and the flowers are kind of inconspicuous, but they are really adorable if you notice them. The Latin name for this plant is Hemagraphis alternata. And one thing you can learn from that is that the alternata part of the name means that the leaves are alternate. So you can see where there is one leaf, there is a leaf on the exact other side. They're kind of like tomatoes as well in the fact that they have these little suckers that grow out of the nodes of the leaf. So it just keeps branching and branching and branching from each little segment, which is kind of cool. They're also really well known for their foliage that is all ruffly and crinkly, which is why they are called waffle plants. For light, they're going to want around 6+ hours of bright indirect light. If they don't get that much light, really all that you're going to see is the fading of the colors, but since it's kind of two-toned and awesome that it's purple and green, the colors are kind of important, so I would recommend making sure that you can give it enough light. With water, I would use a filtered water and make sure that the soil stays evenly moist but not soggy. So don't leave it just sitting in water. They are prone to root rot, so you don't really want to do that. They're also prone to mildew, so you don't really want to create the perfect environment for both of those things. With fertilizer, these plants really don't need much. Like I said, they're resilient. They're really easy to take care of. I would just use a light fertilizer in the growing season. That means like spring and summer when the plant's rapidly growing. They just don't need very much. You could use something like Super Thrive pretty frequently just to give that plant an extra vitamin, just to keep it happy and growing. As far as temperature goes, you're only going to want to do about the optimum temperature of 55 degrees to 75 degrees. If you get below 50 degrees, you're going to see your plant show symptoms of stress. So just try to make sure if you do stick it outside and it gets fall season and it starts to get lower than 50 degrees, you make sure to bring it back inside. They don't really need added humidity. However, if you do give them the added humidity, they will thrive. They would be a really good option for a bathroom plant if you have a nice well-lit bathroom, because they would really like it and grow really large. For soil, I would say to just use a nice, rich, organic potting soil that has more peat moss in it than anything else, just to really make sure that it's got that water retention without holding it in a negative way. And it dries out pretty quickly, but like supplies the water to the plant. So that's why peat moss is a really good option. They are prone to scale and whiteflies, so make sure that you kind of keep an eye out for those. I would probably just try to treat it with a systemic insecticide every now and again just to make sure that you don't get any pests. That's what I do with my houseplants because I have so many, it's really hard to make sure you're watching each plant. So I just treat them all with a systemic every now and then just to make sure that they don't get any issues. But that's really all that there is about the waffle plant. Just remember it is a non-toxic house plant, so it's not toxic to your pet friends or your human friends, and it is a clean air plant. So this plant kind of hits all of our markers for what we want out of a plant. Come in and check them out, and we'll see you guys this week.